buddy Chris Marler, Vern Funquist on social media with a couple of interesting graphics for his Louisiana sports group down there in Baton Rouge. One of them impacts Auburn and Lane Kiffin at LSU, but also Auburn. It's the Who's Coming With Me from the old school, okay? By numbers, how many people left Ole Miss that went with Lane to LSU, USF to Auburn? Here's the graphic. Matt Campbell has the most, by the way. 27 Iowa State players to Penn State.
Yeah, look, Iowa State fans probably aren't happy about this, but like when you look at this makes sense. Like Matt Campbell takes a much bigger job. Iowa State players, including Rocco Beck, get much high-profile place going to Penn State, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, all the way down the list, Lane Kiffin right now just has 4 from Ole Miss.
Boy, I got the feel it was more than that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it seems like we talked a lot about it for it to only be
It's
4.
almost like you need, not that Lane would say this, almost need to sandbag it, though. Like, hey, let's not all jump at once.
Yeah,
it's true. Some of that did happen, Lance.
And probably a little surprising to some, John Summerall just with 2 when this graphic was made from Tulane to Florida.
Yeah, but he told us it wasn't a talented Tulane.
He did.
We're very average. He shows it right there.
After Matt Campbell, 27, Iowa State to Penn State. Eric Morris, 17 from North Texas to Oklahoma State. There were a couple of good ones, and then filling out the roster. Jimmy Rogers, I didn't know who he was. Left Washington State to Iowa State, took 15. There's Alex Golesh with 13 USF players to Auburn. James Franklin took 12 Penn State players to Virginia Tech. Now, that's interesting to me.
I agree, and I think it's one of the reasons that a lot of people are high on Virginia Tech this year in the ACC in year 1 under James Franklin.
Like, that's the first one you've read where it
goes backwards?
Goes backwards. Yeah, I'm going from a better program to a worse program.
Yeah, but he was a really good recruiter.
Oh, yeah. No, if I'm a Virginia Tech fan, I am excited to get 12 Penn State players that James Franklin liked.
Yeah, you got Bob Chesney, 10 from James Madison to UCLA. Pretty good little James Madison team, though. So
I was going to say that's arguable, Brown.
No, I'm not sure what's the better one.
Yeah, Memphis to Arkansas with Silverfield with 7. Whittingham to Utah, 5 Utah players to Michigan. And then the Kiffin Summerall there. Just interesting on who's coming with me there. Because that sort of now is the Cignetti model, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, that's what people want to copy. It's a little bit different when you see, that James Madison to Indiana at that time. You knew Indiana needed the help. We had no idea the impact that we would see 2 full years in.
Yeah, if I'm a Penn State fan, though, James Franklin was a good recruiter, to your point. I don't know how digestible basically it's a little more than a quarter of my roster is going to be an Iowa State roster. I do think Kirk Cignetti helped coaches do this. Like, without what Cignetti has done, Penn State fans would probably be going nuts to get 27 Iowa State players. But now that Cignetti's done it, you're like, okay, it worked for them. They won a national championship this way. I'm going to let my guy bring in his guys. But boy, 27 is a lot if I'm a Penn State fan.
It is a lot, but I think what you get excited about is most of those 27, like Rocco Beck, have played a lot of football.
Yeah, you do get the quarterback.
Yeah.
And Matt Campbell seemed to be a culture guy.
Culture guy that did develop players.
And they seem to be tough. Always a physical, tough, gritty team, which I think would help Penn State a little bit. That one didn't bother me as much. And as I said with USF and Auburn, 2 or 3 of those guys, the running back, the wide receiver, and obviously the quarterback, those 3, if you just took Alex Golesh off the table, if you were still Hugh Freeze and you got those 3 guys from USF, you should be excited.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you hire guys like Alex Golesh and Matt Campbell because you trust their decision-making, right? And you trust them being great coaches. If they're bringing these guys over, they think they're obviously talented enough to make an impact.
Okay, here's the other graphic that the streak, I don't know how long the streak's been, but the Big Ten officially this year signed more 5-star players than the SEC did. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Here's a graph that Marler put out that shows you how, look at the gap. The SEC's the yellow line, the gold line.
Uh-huh.
Look at how many more 5-stars the SEC had all these years. And at one point, look at that one point right there where the SEC at its peak, the Big Ten was The Big Ten was almost, it looks like it was lower than the ACC and the Big 12.
It was in, what was that, 2024? Yeah.
But now the Big Ten has passed the SEC on signing 5-star recruits. Now, these are just the 5-star guys. But that's pretty crazy. And the final Rivals rankings were out. USC number 1, Big Ten school. They had 2 5-stars. Notre Dame was second, independent, with 4 5-stars. Oregon was third, Big Ten, 4 5-stars. Georgia was fourth, SEC, 1 5-star. 1.
Wow.
Alabama fifth with 3 5-stars. Ohio State sixth with 1 5-star. A&M seventh, 1 5-star. Tennessee eighth with 2 5-stars. Miami ninth with 1 5-star. And Texas 10th with 3 5-stars. So Texas and Alabama with 3 5-stars in the SEC there in the top 10.
Can I present a theory? I mean, this is simply like we're in a science lab and like, what do you guys think's going on with this equation? Well, Ryan's got a theory. And I would bet you this is a popular theory in Big Ten country. So prior to NIL, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you the Big Ten didn't cheat. They did. But don't you think it was probably more difficult to come to the SEC's backyard and cheat to get players than it was in your own backyard? You see what I'm saying? So Ohio State, like if Ohio State wanted a kid out of Ohio and wanted to cheat to get him, they could probably get around everything.
No, I see what you're saying. I mean,
but if
now
you want a kid out of Florida,
you've got whistleblowers like Dabo Swinney.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're coming in from another conference. There's a better than good chance that somebody's going to call you out.
Like if
We're
I'm
not going to turn each other in, but
Yeah,
we're not going to let them
that's
come
it.
down and take our guys.
Like if I'm Ohio State and I want a kid out of Florida, Miami, Florida, and Florida State are all going to work against me, right? But if it's a kid in the state of Florida, Florida State, and Miami know we're all cheating to get the guy. So, may the best cheater win. But we, by gosh, are not going to let Ohio State come down here and get him. That's my point. That's the point I'm making.
Yep.
Well, now we're in an NIL world where none of that matters, where Ohio State can come down to Florida and tell a kid, $5 million is what you want. Here's $5 million. I'm sure that's what the Big Ten fans would say. Well, now the rabbit's got the gun, and it's not going to be as fun for the SEC.
LSU 11th, Florida 15th, Oklahoma 16th, South Carolina 18, Ole Miss 25 in the top 25 of recruiting now that Rivals finalized their star rankings. That's high school recruiting. We know some people don't put the as important. It's not as important as it used to be because of the transfer portal. Okay, so we talked about in length on Monday's show the full timeline of what Dabo Swinney laid out, long sound bite about Pete Golding and Ole Miss tampering with Luke Farrelly while he was already enrolled at Clemson in a class, and now he's at Ole Miss. So we played you that sound bite on Monday. Yesterday I told you that the NCAA is investigating this. They've let Dabo know that they're looking into it. Dabo, in that same news conference from the weekend, challenged other coaches to call out tampering. He wants this to become a coach's policed situation. Listen in.
And I know for a fact that this is happening at other places. Because you know why? Because I've had a bunch of coaches over the last week that have reached out to me. And they're going, well, let me tell you what's happened to me. Let me tell you what I know. Let me tell you my story. I've had a lot of people reach out with their stories. And so I want to challenge all of those coaches that have reached out to me. I want to challenge all of them. You need to step up and call it out. You either step up and you be an example to young coaches in this profession and be people of integrity, or just shut your mouth and don't complain again.
That's Dabo Swinney there challenging the other coaches.
I don't have a problem with that. Like, I do think that there is a problem with the tampering of guys that aren't in the portal on your roster. Like, I'm 100% behind. I don't know what other people are saying with this, but I think Dabo's got a point here. I mean, it's one thing to bend the rules and skirt different things on getting kids in and paying them more than you're supposed to, but when a guy is on your roster and you've got other coaches calling him, that's a problem.
The fact that Dabo said, and he said in the news conference, another soundbite, this is not an investigation that should take 3 months, and it shouldn't take 3 years by the NCAA. It should take 3 days. That they should get the phone records and just look at the text and all that. It should be that simple. But do you think the NCAA is going to do anything
Nope.
to Ole Miss about this?
What could they do?
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult because imagine if you do that. I mean, what it open much like this Bediako thing, on a different level, like what that opens up to. I mean, you've got to start investigating everybody if people start pointing fingers, and then what happens?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to be really difficult for them to do anything.
And Dabo basically is saying what you were saying about, if Miami and Florida State were doing this, they sort of policed each other. Dabo is saying the NCAA is not going to do anything.
No.
We've got to, as coaches, start calling it out, and we police ourselves.
And you can say what you want about Dabo. I think he's being genuine and truthful in this simply because I know how much he hates this iteration of college football. Dabo hates this.
Yeah. And as I said Monday, he finally dipped his toe in the portal, and look what happened.
Look what happened. He hates the transfer portal, and he hates paying players. Those are his words, by the way. I'm not just saying Dabo acts like that. Those are Dabo's words. He has been very vocal about this. He hates this portion of college football. So, I genuinely think Dabo is like, man, we tried to dive in, and this is what happened. And if coaches want this crap to stop, you better say something. Now, there will be exactly 0 coaches that do this. I don't think there'll be another coach that comes out and says, you know what? I heard what Coach Swinney said, and I just want to start my press conference by saying I agree with Dabo.
Yeah.
And
you know why? Because if Ryan Brown said that, then I would be the coach that would say, well, you know what Ryan Brown did to me? I can't believe Ryan Brown said this. Ryan Brown.
But what if Ryan Brown hadn't done anything?
Well, how many Ryan Browns are there?
There's not a lot.
Not a lot.
But if you are, if you're a player and you go to your head coach and you're like, hey, look what Pete Golding just texted me.
Which apparently this happened right here.
I wonder how many times you've had that coach call the coach immediately.
But this goes
and
back.
we just haven't heard about it.
And I like the way Dabo said, look, I told my guy, hey, Pete's been on the job basically 5 days, it seems like, because of everything, his head swimming. Just let him know. We know what they're doing. Tell him to stop. Leave our guy alone. And I don't want to do anything. Just tell him, I know he's new on the job. Tell him that's not the way we're going to do things. Just stop. I like the way he did that.
Yeah, but I wonder why
the guy's like, Pete's going to Pete, man.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Right.
Pete's going to Pete, man. I can't do nothing about it.
But
that's exactly what he said, by the way. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I didn't. Yeah. But that's incredible.
He said they called, and the guy, they were talking to the GM or the agent. We were unclear on which. And they're like, look, I can say something, but Pete's going to do what Pete's going to do. Pete's going to Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you do in that situation.
Yeah.
I mean,
guess Pete's going to
calls it out,
But I'll tell you, it goes back to when we played the reaction to the Bediako thing. Like, Tom Izzo was Dabo Swinney. Tom Izzo's like, I can't believe we're doing this. I don't know where this sport's going, But then you got to Todd Golden and Stephen Pearl, and they're like, look, I like Nate. Nate's a good guy. And
Golden was a little different.
He guaranteed a win, but he also was like, I understand what Nate's doing. Nate's doing what he's got to do to win. Like, the younger coaches are going to be around a while. They were like, I don't want to build too big of a wall here because I might have to climb over this wall at some point.
Yeah, if this is the way we're going to do it,
That's right.
I'm going to do it too.
Yeah.